Back in the day, there used to be such a thing as the perception that a device could be way too big. I do actually remember sitting on the train with my Galaxy Note Pro 12.2 and having each and every person that walked by me look at me as if they wanted to ask me why I was carrying a 55-inch TV around. But honestly, for me at the time, that was the perfect device. So naturally, when I heard Samsung was actually making a return back to the larger than large form factor, I was very excited to go ahead and check it out. Now, I have actually had this Tab S8 Ultra here for about 11 months, and I think that is more than enough time to share my permanent opinion of how this return to Samsung's larger than large device fares on a day-to-day basis. So let's go ahead and talk about what it's been like using this device long term. I'm pretty sure that the first opinion or even the first thought about this device is, why is it so darn big? And sure, it is big, but the details are what make the size of the tablet useful. Details like the weight. First of all, this tablet without any case attached isn't the lightest thing, but it also isn't as heavy as it could be with all things considered. I didn't have much of a problem holding it in my hands, and even holding it one-handed while doing daily tasks like going through emails and deleting 20,000 spam emails I get daily, browsing the web and looking for stuff online, watching a video on YouTube, which I guess I kind of wouldn't be doing one-handed, but you can if you really want to. I'm doing it right now. And just taking some notes or just really jotting things down in general. Honestly, the tablet is heavy, like I mentioned. However, it really isn't as heavy as it could be. And yes, you will probably get some fatigue if you're using this one-handed for a while, but it could be much worse, I think. Another thing that I actually appreciate about the design is the fact that these bezels on the sides of the tablet are pretty darn slim, especially for this being such a big tablet. With the Tab S8 Ultra, the bezels are actually so thin that I actually don't notice they're there. Not even this little teardrop up here with a dual front-facing camera design bothers me as much as I actually thought it would. All in all, I really just think Samsung did a good job of giving you a place to put your fingers while you're holding the tablet and not make you feel like you're losing much screen real estate. The last part of the design that actually makes this tablet easy to use in the hands is just the premium materials they use here. So this is going to be Armor aluminum on the back here, and it does feel very, very smooth to the touch. Honestly, it really doesn't feel all that different from the aluminum Samsung uses before, but what I do know is that there is rarely, or sort of barely, I meant to say, any flex in this tablet here. And of course, if I really wanted to break it, I probably could, but overall, you know, there's no sort of like flappy tablet sort of kind of motion here if I am holding it with one hand, and that's something that really does feel great. And yes, I do have my S Pen. There's also the fact that there is the Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, and yes, I do have a screen protector on this. However, I've dropped this tablet a couple of times before I did have the screen protector on it, and you know, I had that dreadful moment where you pick up your device and you're just like, oh my God, is this thing cracked? And it just didn't happen. So yes, the build of materials here is really premium. It definitely does not feel like a cheap device. The display is the biggest draw here, and rightfully so. It's one that I truly enjoy for consuming content and productivity. As a matter of the fact, this tablet has pretty much replaced my Surface Pro 8 for about 98% of the tasks I use on a daily basis. The vibrancy and quality of the AMOLED panel is just really superb. Colors pop, but not too much to the point where they're overbearing or too unrealistic. Reds are red enough, greens are green enough, and blues are blue enough. Whether you're watching YouTube videos, browsing the web, or drawing, or whatever you really decide to do, this display will let you do it and look really good doing it also. Now, as much as I actually just raved about how good the display is on this Tab S8 Ultra, I can't say that it's actually perfect. For one, I think the max brightness is actually sort of low, and this is actually on max brightness, as you can see right now. This actually doesn't hinder me from doing anything, but it does make it harder for my eyes to adjust in certain situations. The one thing I really do wish Samsung would have included here in terms of the display is the ability to actually control the resolution. Now, this is a huge screen, and I know going any lower than 4K probably would not be ideal. However, I would have just liked the option because, you know, you can definitely save some battery life to do that. And you may be able to down the resolution in the power saving mode, but I'd like to do that from the display. So that is kind of one issue I have with the display, I guess. Other than these two issues though, I really don't think people would have an issue with anything they're seeing on this tablet's display. It's just a really good all-around display, hands down. Performance on this tablet has been, it's been great, honestly. There's not really anything bad I can say about it. I think that's really to be expected though. We kind of live in this age where mobile processors like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 offer acceptable performance for just about anything you're looking to do. I personally don't play games on my tablet at all, but I can have anywhere from 20 to 28 apps open, have multiple files being transferred to my network storage at home, and perform video editing tasks that would normally equate to slow down performance on my older device, and slow down is just not the case here, honestly. I personally think that if performance is a concern, you should probably lay that concern to rest, because even 2 to 3 years from now, this will probably still be a device that performs better than you'd expect. The audio experience on this tablet is pretty good. I predominantly use Bluetooth headphones anyway, but I'd say that the size of the display and the speakers would allow for an experience that can be shared with more than one person and be more than acceptable. Just listen to this example of the speakers. So as you just heard in that example, these speakers do actually pack some detail. You could kind of clearly hear the kicks, the bass, and just really most of the instruments in that song that was playing while this video was playing. If you are listening with Bluetooth headphones, one of the things I would probably tell you is just don't use Dolby Atmos unless you're using the built-in speakers on this tablet. But overall, yes, the audio performance is definitely good. I can't say it's bad. I can't say it's superb, but it's good. It's definitely good. So honestly, the front-facing camera is not something I actually use a lot. However, I decided to just kind of do an example here. And this is kind of near the worst, or near as bad as it can look. Right now I'm in my car and there's really not too much light around. And sorry, I know I keep looking to the side. People are just walking around to the side here. Yeah, so essentially this is just how bad it can look, or as bad as, or close to as bad as how it can look. So yeah, you do need a lot of light. I mean, it is a tablet camera, tablet cameras. There are two of them on here. There's not really much I can say about this camera. It's decent. It'll work for Zoom. It'll work for anything else. And yeah, that's all I can say. I guess one cool thing about this camera though, and this is with auto framing on, which is probably why this footage got worse. One cool thing about this camera is that there's just like this auto framing thing. So like it tries to keep you in frame using the two cameras here. And as you can see, it's like zooming in on me. Overall, like I said, it'll work for video calls. If you do Zoom, MS Teams, or anything along those lines, you should be good to go. It's just that you're gonna need a lot of light. And that's really all I have to say about the front-facing cameras. Now, if I'm being totally honest with you, I also don't use the rear cameras on this tablet. However, I do know that there are people out there who are probably going to use this for things like document scanning, or maybe even taking like quick pictures while they are using this tablet. So I just thought I would provide some samples here. And as you can see, it's a tablet camera. I mean, it's going to get the job done, and the more light you have, the better. However, at that point, you're probably just better off taking a picture with your phone or something along those lines. I think it's also safe to say the same with video. I mean, if you just need to get the job done, if you just need to, like, let's say, for instance, you have something that you would need to upload a video to make sure you've done your work or something like that. It'll get the job done, but you really need a lot of light for this camera on this tablet. And again, that's to be expected. So my opinion of these cameras here, yeah, you can use them. You will probably want to use your phone or something else if you want better quality, but they're not horrible. I mean, well, yeah, I guess they're not horrible. They're just not feasible in most situations, I guess. So I bet you all thought I just had good things to say about this tablet, and you'd be wrong. You're definitely wrong. So my most critical opinion of this tablet is when it comes to battery life. I think my battery life has actually gotten better with Android 13. However, I am sort of over having just 8 to 9 hours of battery life on a device these days. And I know this is a big device. I know you have to power a lot of internals, but I really expected to have something more than the 8 hours and 40 minutes you're even seeing here. Usually I'm doing a lot of video editing and things of that sort, and this will actually go down to about maybe 50% after about 4 to maybe 5 hours of that, which doesn't bode well when I don't have a charger or a battery, what I always do, because I know the battery life on this is not going to be that great. But as you can see here with the screen on time, it's 8 hours and 40 minutes. So you can definitely get at least a day's worth, a normal day's worth of battery life out of this. Like I said, I have unrealistic expectations here, and I know that. I'm being very honest about that. I just personally feel like the battery life should have at least been around the 12-hour mark, and that is just strictly my opinion, like everything else in this video, I guess. But just know, like I said, you can get at least 8 hours, 9 hours out of this. Right now I am on 12% of battery life, and that is actually going to drain much faster. I know that for sure. As you can see here, YouTube is taking up 21%, and that's the thing. Applications will fluctuate with how much power they do take up. So KineMaster, which is the video program or video application I'm using right now, that's taking up 16%. So of course it varies, but I would think if you're not doing what I'm doing, like heavy video editing, browsing, yada, anything like that, yeah, you get a decent day's battery life out of it. Another thing Samsung really needs to look into upgrading is the charging speeds. And this is across all of their line of products. The reason I made such a big deal about wishing the battery life was at least 12 hours on the Tab S8 Ultra is because I feel like if I was able to use my tablet for that amount of time, I wouldn't necessarily care so much that it charged so slow. I actually went out and bought this 45-watt charger that Samsung makes, and in my experience, it actually took 14 minutes to get 18% back. While this 25-watt charger that comes in the box gave me 11% back in the same 14 minutes. So the thing is that there are other manufacturers out there that have phones that can charge at 65 watts and beyond, which means there should be no excuse as to why this tablet cannot do the same. What's actually worse is that you're not actually getting the same full charging speed all the time. It actually depends on how low your battery is. And for heat and battery fatigue purposes, this makes sense. For instance, I'm using the 45-watt charger right now, and as you can see here, this cable is actually telling me the wattage going into here. Now, I am not claiming that this cable is extremely accurate. However, it seems to be mostly, because when I do use the 25-watt charger, it will tell me that it goes up to at least 22. So I'm below 50% right now at 45%, and you can see right here, it keeps resetting the voltage. Now, this could be because this is not a 5 amp cable also, I don't remember if it is, but essentially it would kind of be the same thing if I was even using the 25-watt charger. So just for consistency's sake, I just put in the 25-watt charger here, and you'll notice it should stop at 23 or 22. Yep, 23, there we go. So really what I'm trying to say is that Samsung needs to up the charging speed on all of their devices, but especially this one, since it's so big and has a bigger than normal battery. This is something I really do hope that the next few Ultra line of tablets actually does employ. The last thing I wanted to talk about today is this right here, the keyboard case. So I actually did an in-depth review on this keyboard and mostly pointed out its flaws and benefits, but over time I've come to see that it's actually an integral part of the package, especially if you intend to use this tablet for any sort of productivity. I still have the same gripes with it where there's only one angle that this keyboard can be put at, which is flat. So if you intend to use this on your lap, it's going to be pretty difficult. And there is still this weird bug that persists, and I even had this issue with my Tab S7 Plus, this bug that kind of persists where when I detach the keyboard while using specific apps, those apps will restart momentarily. Other than those gripes though, I do think that it provides a decent typing experience and sort of meshes itself well with the overall experience of using a tablet this big. If you can find it for under its $349 MSRP, then it's definitely something you'll want to check into. To go ahead and summarize everything about the Tab S8 Ultra, it is a big tablet that doesn't necessarily do much different from any other tablet on the market right now, especially even Android or Samsung tablets. However, the bigger screen real estate is going to give you more room to do more work and to do your best work, I would definitely say. Of course, the battery life can definitely be improved, and I hope that it does get improved with the next iteration. I hope we do get our 12 hours of battery life. But overall, I do think that this package right here, this is as close, or I would definitely darn near say that this is probably as close as you can get to replacing a laptop. Yes, it still does use Android, and I mean, Android has its limitations. However, in my use cases, like I mentioned before, I do use this about 98% more than I do my Surface Pro 8. And this has basically allowed me to do all of the work I would do with that device. Well, most of the work except for music creation on this tablet. So would I say someone should get it? Yeah, I would definitely say look into it. If you can get over the bigger size, which you'll probably get used to anyway, then yes, I think this would be the tablet that would be the tablet of them all, if that makes any sense. With all of that being said, I hope that all of the information I provided here was helpful. I hope that the opinions I provided were helpful. And of course, definitely let me know if you're going to be picking one of these up, or maybe you'll wait for the next version, who knows. However, wherever you are in the world, have a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.